Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. I'm Jason,
And I'm Zach.
and let's get started with the news.
Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Co., the world's #1 semiconductor manufacturer, is investing $2.8 billion to increase automobile semiconductor production. They are planning to begin increasing production in 2023, just like the semiconductors for our GPUs.
Yeah, the semiconductor industry's been pretty tight here recently, and even with $2.8 billion, it still takes them 2 years to get ramped up. So hopefully things will get better, but this next 2 years is going to be really difficult in semiconductor business in general, whether it be automotive or GPU or whatever the case may be. Item 2 is Apple's Mac users are highly encouraged to update their Macs as soon as possible. Devices are said to be at a grave risk of exploitation, one of the worst vulnerabilities in years for the Apple. Malware has been exploiting this vulnerability since January. The vulnerability is a logic error in the Mac OS code. This bug misclassifies malware targeted at this bug and allows it to straightforward through into the workings of the operating system without being flagged in the software. So please get your Macs updated as soon as possible.
Along the lines of updates, Apple's new iOS 14.5 that we mentioned last week is now available. It actually dropped a couple hours after last week's talk. This update has a very helpful feature added to it. You can now stop ads from tracking you across activity on your phone. Apps now ask if you want to allow them to track your activity across companies, apps, and websites. The developers can also put in small prompts to try to convince you and tell you why they need to track you, if it is needed.
Yeah.
The tech giants like Facebook, primarily Facebook, have been strongly opposing this move. They say that it is in the name of small business.
Yeah, I can't imagine why they would not want you guys to be tracked, but the majority of Facebook's revenue comes from things like ad tracking and selling information for customers that they have. So, yeah, they definitely don't want you to not do it, but if you guys can avoid doing it as much as you can without having to inhibit the actual use of your application you're trying to use, then we highly recommend not signing on to the tracking information. The internet attack called Cryptojacking has taken over attackers' favorite way to extort from people. The favorite used to be ransomware, but now that crypto demand has skyrocketed and crypto prices have increased dramatically, attacks are shifting to cryptojacking. Cryptojacking is a sneaky program that actually gets onto your computer and will use your resources on your computer to mine for cryptocurrency in the background without you not even knowing. So if you guys have your computers on at night, it could actually just sit there and mine all night and you not even be aware of what's going on. So it's a downloaded program. It can be used to drive malicious websites and pages, and it's embedded into a website that takes advantage of all computers that visit the website. So be careful that you guys' computers aren't sitting there mining while you're not even using them.
Yeah, the drive-by attacks from websites is a pretty crazy one. NVIDIA is doubling down on its hash limiter for their 3060 12GB graphics cards. The 466.24 driver recently released that also updates the current capabilities of the limiter on new RTX cards, their 30 series cards, and attempts to make it harder to get around. The first one wasn't too hard to get around, but I can imagine it's going to change here pretty quick.
NVIDIA itself came out with an update that kind of sort of nullified the initial limiter, but then it came out with an additional firmware that brought it back to the limiting. So basically it would do about half of the hashing of a normal card, and it's supposed to be hopeful to making cards more available for gamers and not necessarily for miners. The password management application Password State was the victim of a cyber attack recently. The hacker injected malware into the app itself using app's updated mechanism, meaning that when an update was performed on the application, the malware was also installed on the end user systems. If you guys use Password State and you did an update in January, then you probably have this software on your computer, and you should look into trying to get it updated and then removing the malware. Password State released nearly immediately that the attack occurred, but you should definitely check your computer, make sure you don't have any viruses or malware. Next, we have the tech tip of the day. What's the tech tip of the day, Zach?
The tech tip is to close out of apps on your mobile devices that you aren't using. Sometimes we get customers in and we have to do something on their phone for them, and you pull up all the apps, and everything they've ever opened on the phone is still open.
Yeah, there's been 30, 40, 50 different apps running at the same time, which causes really slow speeds on your phone. It might give you a really poor experience in using it. And both with Android or with Apple, there are ways to be able to usually just swipe up or swipe away to be able to get the applications that you are not using closed. And there's usually also a way to have like a close all, where you can just push a button and close all of the apps that you aren't using, and then you just reopen the ones you need. I probably use the close all at least 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, I swipe up. I close an app after every time I use it, which isn't quite necessary, but I've developed that habit.
Yeah, what you don't want is 50 different applications running on your phone at the same time, just using up all the resources, and your phone be really slow. All right, today's tech talk is going to be on cryptocurrency, but first we have to put out a nice little disclaimer. This discussion is for informational purposes only. This does not constitute investment advice on tax or legal matters. As with any investments, all have significant risks. This is especially true when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Please contact your financial advisor or the advice of independent professional advisors for additional information. Java PC or SMC, which is Solana Media Connection, are not responsible or liable for any investment, penalties, losses, claims, damages, or any other liability our viewers may incur investing in cryptocurrencies. Please invest at your own risk.
So we developed this discussion kind of around the big points that I hear from people when cryptocurrency gets brought up, the big questions.
What is it?
That's the first one we're going to get to. Cryptocurrencies are digital assets used as a medium for exchanging goods and services. There are more than 6,000 different cryptocurrencies being used at this moment. Bitcoin is definitely the most popular cryptocurrency. And even this paper is out of date now. What is it, 59K?
It was at 58, yeah, earlier.
58. And you can have portions of a single coin. I think that's a really big question there.
Yeah, with most investments here recently, even like some stocks, before you'd have to buy like a one full share of something, one full share of McDonald's or one full share of Apple. But there are some companies out there that are letting you buy portions of a share now. But with cryptocurrencies, you can buy pretty much any denomination you could possibly want. If a share costs $55,000, $58,000 for one share, you don't have to buy one share. You can buy 1/10,000th of a share or 100,000th of a share if you want to. You can pretty much go about 9 digits past the decimal place when it comes to cryptocurrency. So you can buy very, very little. If you have $100 to spend, you can buy 100,000th of a Bitcoin.
So now we'll get into how it's obtained, what mining is, and what the blockchain is. Many cryptocurrencies, but not all, originate from contributing computing power to the solving of the complex mathematical equations it takes to contribute to the development and transactions of the blockchain. This is what everybody calls mining, cryptocurrency mining. The cryptocurrencies are rewarded to the computers or individuals who mine or contribute to this process. Crypto does not have to be mined. It can also be bought with what is already circulating in the market from what other people have mined and been awarded.
Right. So a lot of times you can actually go through and mine a specific coin. Now with Bitcoin specifically, it came out initially with 21 million coins that you could find by mining. That equation got exponentially harder after each coin is found. So what was really easy to find the first 1,000 or so coins, now we're at like 18 million of the 21 million found, and each algorithm gets harder and harder, which requires more and more computational power to solve that equation to get the Bitcoin. Now, when you find a coin, then that coin is usually distributed to a pool, and that pool is of let's say there's 4,000 miners that are mining, and that pool that discovered that coin allows that 4,000 people to get that portion of that coin. But not all coins require cryptocurrency mining. Some coins are coming out now with just you just purchase them or there's no limit. But there's a lot of different variances. But Bitcoin itself came out initially with 21 million coins. I think we're at like 18 million coins have been found. And then there's a certain limit. So once all of them are found, there's no more coins that can go into the medium of Bitcoin. Now there's additional coins like Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold. There's different divisions of that, or forks, so they call them, hard forks. But that's the majority of how coins are found, is through some type of mining. That mining presents an equation, that equation gets solved, and that equation goes onto the blockchain, which is the ledger of information.
Yeah, so all of this does revolve around that blockchain. It is a decentralized ledger of all transactions across a peer-to-peer network. meaning that there is no third party necessary for the exchange of cryptocurrencies. And in addition to that, it is not regulated yet.
Yeah, and most of these are non-government regulated, so they wanted a currency that was outside of government control. There are some countries out there that are considering or in the process of actually getting their own coin. So let's say Liberia wants to come out with a Liberian coin for their own cryptocurrency. There are countries that are looking to do that, but currently they aren't driven by a specific country because they wanted a deregulated currency that isn't regulated by a specific country to be able to have means of funds that can be quickly exchanged without having to worry about the exchange rate or things like that.
A big part of its decentralization is because the blockchain is actually located on everybody who is contributing's computers. Some of the current blockchains, one being Ethereum, is written in the programming language Solidity. And there is an NEO blockchain, which is written in C#, Java, and Python, and some other stuff, but those are the three big ones. And then there's EOS, which is written in C++. Cryptocurrencies follow a standard for the award tokens. The Ethereum blockchain standard is ERC20. The NEO blockchain is NEP5, and the EOS blockchain is EOSIO.token.
Now, there are ways you can actually get paid with cryptocurrency that doesn't actually involve mining. For all these ledger transactions, every time like I want to sell a coin to Zach or a portion of a coin to Zach, and he buys that, when he purchases that coin, that information also goes on the ledger as a specific line item. And that line item requires this hashing power to solve that equation as well. But once we have those equations done, you can actually go through the ledger and see each one. You won't see the person's information, you'll just see a long list of numbers.
So another big question is how they're created. Cryptocurrencies are created by two primary methods. You can develop your own blockchain and award cryptocurrency. This is less secure and more vulnerable to fraud because it is not an established blockchain that is frequented and error checked by however many people use it, millions of people. You can also modify a current blockchain and then create an awarded token off of that. This is forked cryptocurrency. It is more secure and less vulnerable to fraud because it's basing itself off of a current blockchain.
Yeah, but like Bitcoin came into Bitcoin Cash, so if you had, let's say, 1,000 Bitcoins, the moment that it forks, you still have 1,000 Bitcoins, but you also will have 1,000 Bitcoin Cash. And that's how it works. So it's nice before a fork happens that you actually have some of that currency before, because then you'll have one of each or however many currencies you have of that item. But with the different types of cryptocurrency, there are some that are pretty reputable and there are some that are not. If you want to go out there and create your own cryptocurrency, or we can make a Jabbit PC coin and say that there's 10,000 shares of it, we can give it out as much as we want to, but there isn't much regulation. When it comes to things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of the bigger coins like Litecoin, all of those, they're pretty well regulated. You can also tell by which exchange. So you can often tell the security of a coin, if you will, the security of a coin, if it's on some very reputable exchanges. In order to sell or purchase cryptocurrencies, if you aren't going to mine them or be part of a mining pool, is you need to go onto an exchange, which is like, let's say for instance, the stock exchange. For that, there are other exchanges, for instance, like Coinbase or Binance, some of the larger exchanges where you can actually go on and purchase cryptocurrencies. If you go onto one of those exchanges and you don't see the coin that you're looking for, maybe it's not as reputable as you want. Maybe you can look into the actual white paper on that specific coin and find out if it's something that you want to invest in. But Binance, Crypto, and Coinbase are probably the biggest two. There's Kraken. There's a bunch of different exchanges. Some of them will be on the specific exchanges you want to find. So if you're looking for a specific coin, you can go to that coin and find out which exchange it's going to be selling on. But some of the bigger ones, even Robinhood's selling a cryptocurrency now. So Robinhood, you can go on there and buy Bitcoin, you can buy Dogecoin. But look at the exchange that you're purchasing from. Usually you have to have some kind of like initial deposit, and then you can purchase on there afterwards. Another way to get cryptocurrency is to actually go through a program similar to, like, for instance, NiceHash, which allows you to process ledger transactions or be part of a pool, or they're part of a bigger pool that is mining, and they pay you, in, like, let's say in Bitcoin. Currently, NiceHash mainly focuses on mining Ethereum coin, but they actually will pay you out in Bitcoin currency. So if you have, like, say, a video card that's just sitting around, like you have a computer that's just sitting home all day, if you want to, you can actually go on NiceHash and download a little program that's going to allow you to mine Ethereum, but you get paid in Bitcoin from NiceHash. It's a good way to make a little bit of extra income while your computer's sitting there idle while you're at work all day or maybe overnight. Just be aware that it does use electricity, and your computer is usually maxed out, at least the GPU is maxed out at 100% processing power the whole time that it's mining. And that'll continue on until you tell it to stop. You can start it and stop it from your phone. You can start it and stop it from another computer. But it's a nice little way to make some extra income when your computer's just sitting idle all day.
So another big question is where you can actually store these coins. If you're using something like Robinhood or whatever the other ones are called, it's stored in that app or on their servers.
You can have your own little cryptocurrency wallet. Usually it's called a ledger. You can actually buy those from Amazon or eBay. What they are is encrypted, basically little encrypted hard drives. They usually have a 10-key code that you'll write in initially that you have these 10 specific passwords. If you happen to lose those, whatever's on that drive is encrypted, so your chances of getting it back are impossible. But the nice part is if you have it stolen, then they won't get it either. But most reputable exchanges are a pretty good way to house your cryptocurrency when you're not currently using it. But if you want to take that off of the exchange and put it onto your own personal wallet, you can. It's just don't ever lose the passwords for it.
Right, yeah. And these wallets are like a jumble of characters that the coins are sent to, which is primarily how it's sort of kept anonymous.
Yeah.
It's a pretty popular form of exchange on the deep web because people
If you want
really
to
aim for privacy out there.
Yeah. So yeah, if you would like to store it off of the exchange, you can just buy a coin, put it onto your own individual wallet, and then pull it back off and sell it whenever you want to. But there is a lot of risk if you lose the passwords or somebody steals the hard drive itself.
But you can track the wallet's activity. I know there's websites out there that you can look up a specific wallet and see
If they've tried to
where
access
it's going to or where it's coming from. And a lot of them, they lead from wallet to wallet to wallet, and then you can follow the trail and see where stuff's going. It's pretty cool.
Doesn't mean you'll be able to get it back, but maybe you can track it a little bit. I've been comfortable just leaving the coin that I have on the exchange that I'm purchasing it from, but some people like to hold it a little closer to the vest. So the last question is, are they good investments? That is completely up to the person that is investing. As I mentioned before, we're not responsible for any investment advice, but like anything, if you have $100 you want to throw at cryptocurrency, that's up to you. I definitely wouldn't be going out and emptying your 401ks to invest in cryptocurrencies or empty your savings account or wherever you guys have. If you have some extra currency, because cryptocurrency is definitely more risky than your standard kind of investments or mutual funds, which also have a risk, but cryptocurrencies the $100 you put in there now could disappear tomorrow. So there is a lot of risk, so it's up to you on whether or not you want to invest in it. But it's definitely, if you have something that you have a little bit of extra cash here and you want to just play around with it and see how it goes, then go for it. But that's completely up to you and your financial advisor's advice.
Some of the cryptos definitely are more stable than others.
Definitely.
Like the smaller ones, less known, can definitely go up and then just crash and you're out of luck. But the Bitcoin and Ethereum with the backing, that even fluctuate around the actual stock market.
Sure. Bitcoin by far is the biggest, and that's kind of sort of the driver for all the other ones going up and down. For instance, if Bitcoin goes up 10%, you can usually see like Litecoin and Ethereum changing about 5 to 10% as well. So the Bitcoin is by far the biggest driver on overall prices, but individual coins can go up and down separately, but Bitcoin is a huge driver, and it's probably the most reliable. But Ethereum is quickly becoming the second, well, it is the second biggest, but it's quickly becoming a big contender for Bitcoin. Just have to see how it goes. But there's also coins you can go out there and buy that are fractions of a penny per share. Dogecoin, when I first got into it, was 5 cents, I think, and now it's up to 39 cents a piece. But things just go up and down all the time, and it's when you look at a currency that can be drastically changed by one person making a tweet. Well, that just tells you that it can be great, but it can also mean that as soon as you invest, you could be invested at the highest it's ever been, and then it crashed back down to a penny a share, and then you're out all that money. So just please use caution and good judgment, and talk to a financial advisor if you'd like any more advice. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in next week.
Till next time.
Thank you.